First came Chinkapin Oak, wonders of wood. Followed on a year later, Virgin Portuguese Oak, pot still Irish whiskey, wonders of wood. And now, yeah, you guessed it. Let's drink some whiskey. Welcome to Whiskey and Whiskey. I'm the Whiskey Chaser Brian. I hope you're keeping well. Brand new to the Irish whiskey world, fresh out of the doors of a Teeling distillery, the third edition of the Wonders of Wood collection from Teeling. A 50% ABV, triple distilled, single pot still Irish whiskey, finished entirely in, drumroll, Virgin Swedish Oak. This is a 50-50 mash bill of malted and unmalted barley, 100% distilled in their distillery in Dublin, and as I mentioned, the third edition in the Wonders of Wood series, the previous two being Chinkapin Oak and Virgin Portuguese Oak. Those only coming to terms with what the Wonders of Wood is, it's a series all about Teeling's creative approach to whiskey by using different types of wood to mature their award-winning Teeling single pot still whiskey. This series shows how Teeling is always pushing the boundaries to craft unique and memorable whiskeys. Now, innovation in the whiskey world is becoming increasingly difficult in my opinion, trying to stand out from the rest being a real challenge. You have a few options: unique packaging, although some people would think that's debatable, different experimental mash bills, and stepping outside the norm by utilizing unique, rare, and one-off cask finishes, which for a big majority of producers seems to be more the approach now, but even that has its challenges. Something to bear in mind is how hard it can be to acquire really good casks, as unfortunately not all casks or barrels used for aging whiskey are equal. But that is for an entirely different video. So the Virgin Swedish Oak used in the making of these casks is obviously of Swedish origin, sourced entirely from local Swedish cooperage towards Lunkage. All the logs used for the barrels are hand chosen by the team themselves and undergo extensive quality checks with a hands-on approach for every single stage of the process. For those who don't know, Swedish oak is a very rare white oak native to the Nordic region of Europe, which is denser and more robust compared to oak from other regions, for example, say Ireland. Now, as a side note, I was told that the cooperages themselves uphold a sustainable approach with minimal waste to the manufacturing of the barrels used in this whiskey. Good to know. Now, if you can recall it all back to the first edition of the Wonders of Wood, the Chinkapin Oak, it actually won an award for the world's best pot still Irish whiskey at the 2022 World Whiskey Awards. This whiskey is also award winning, having won World's Best Irish Single Pot Still category winner at the 2024 World Whiskey Awards, as well as the double gold at the San Francisco Spirits Competition and gold at the Global Irish Whiskey Masters. Big hitter already. Now, in terms of maturation, I don't know how long it's been matured for in the Swedish Oak. I don't know how many bottles of this are available. I just know that it was initially released in Sweden earlier in the year, and it will be available in both Irish and American markets now from the release of this video from today, and a wider rollout, I'm told, later on in 2024. Now, I'm going to assume this is non-chill filtered, as the first two releases in the series are. However, it doesn't mention it anywhere on the bottle or the box. That I've seen, again, a respectable strength of 50% ABV, and as far as I can tell, an Irish first in terms of finishing. The price point for the whiskey is €80, which is the exact same as the previous two releases, and it's nice to see that inflation hasn't really knocked on the door here. Right, so let's drink. And I'm drinking from my Whiskey Pep Copita glass that he sent me. Thank you. Let's give it a run with a run. Happy days. Let's pour. Now, I missed these guys at Whiskey Live, unfortunately, as towards the end of the day, just the time ran out on me, to be honest with you. But I do remember last year I had the Portuguese Virgin Oak, and I've had the Chinkapin pot still, the first edition of Wonders of Wood, a long time ago. And I remember that was quite nice. And then last year it was this one that I tried at the stand. I don't remember much about it, to be honest with you. It's not that it didn't stand out, it was just I was more interested at the time. I think they had a 15-year-old single grain release that I was kind of really busting a try, because I was heading away on holidays and I wanted to bring that with me, so I wanted to try and make sure it was good. And I don't have a Teeling glass. I had a Teeling glass, but it broke on said holiday. So once again, shout out to Whiskey Pep. Right, on the nose. Okay, so this is lovely and kind of fruity. I'm thinking grape skin, or grape, like white grapes. And then kind of there's a little bit of an orange peel citrus there, and ginger spice on the front. So I would say this is a very crispy and fresh kind of Irish whiskey. Not woody in terms of getting much of that cask finish in terms of wood off of it, but certainly crispy, fresh, sprightly is a good word. A little bit of barley notes there at the end that will give the impression to some of a slight bit of youth there. It is an age statement whiskey, so there's that to bear in mind. There is a little bit of youth there. There's no point in denying it. At 50% ABV, it's going to become even a little bit more apparent, but definitely fruity. There's just a slight hint of a waxy nuttiness at the end. Now, this wouldn't strike me as the most complex Irish whiskey I've ever had, but it is balanced. There is nothing that is wavering in terms of too much or too little. That's quite nice to be able to pick a few different aspects of that whiskey out. So quite fruity, sweet, ginger spice kind of job with a little bit of kind of a nuttiness at the end. And a hint of youth. Right, let's have a little sup, slange it. First thing I noticed with that is the overall mouth coating. It is so oily, really fresh and fruity. There's a lot of ginger spice in that, so there's quite a punch off of it. Not for the faint-hearted. The almonds there are coming through. That nutty note is transgressed from the nose to the palate, but it's in an almondy note. Like I said, subtle fruit flavors. Can't get over that mouth texture. It's so nice, it really is. Quite oily. I'm starting to get the finish on it a touch, but let's get another mouthful in and we'll give it the rest of the taste notes on the palate. Slange it. Oh yeah, great mouth texture, bitey, crispy, nutty, barley, little bit of that youth there, but nothing overly crazy. You're getting more of that spice, so it's very fresh and bitey. And as we move into the kind of finish on things, I think this is starting to get just a touch kind of drying. I want to say like a white pepper kind of spice to it, like that kind of peppery, not overly crazy, but like peppery white pepper spice. Jesus, it's my first drink of the day and I'm already talking rubbish. One more, you can't leave it in the glass like that. That's why, as I said, all those notes there that I gave before, and the spicy notes there at the end. There's a lot of hang time on it. That barley note coming through at the end. Not overly complex like the nose and the palate, but you know, I think nicely balanced. There's nothing really too bitter there at the end. Drying though, it is very drying. I will say that my tongue on the side of my cheeks are quite puckery, as in pulling notes out, but yeah, good tack. So my opinion, it's a decent pot still Irish whiskey that has some good qualities going for it. It's not really as bitey as the Virgin Irish Oak, I think, but from what I can remember, it's more of a slightly fruity, nutty note going on here. Balanced well with what I think is a really great mouthfeel. Now, a little bit of a con to this whiskey. I do think some drinkers will look at this as a whiskey that is too bitey or sprightly. If you don't like that fresh, crispy, woody kind of vibe to it. I actually quite like that about a whiskey. I'm a big fan of crispy, fresh, woody notes, and when my heartburn is kicking in, when my heartburn isn't kicking in, I love the spice. Now at 80 quid, it is a bit on the pricey side, as most things are these days. I would hate to know exactly what it costs to produce this sort of thing. I'm not trying to justify the price. I just see the way the world is going, and there's just nothing cheap anymore. I would fully recommend that you try this before you buy this for reasons I mentioned already. I hate recommending whiskeys to other people and then meeting them and then they just give out to me because they didn't like it, or everybody's palate is different. I quite like bitey, sprightly, kind of fresh whiskeys, and then I like the opposite side of the spectrum, nice rounded, aged whiskeys with complexity and stuff like that. To be able to see through both of those and kind of find a balance in the middle is great for me, but personally I like this, so I will be drinking that a lot. Right, big shout out to Teeling for sending this bottle out to me, and as always, all thoughts are indeed my own. And we're back in the saddle now. Once again, more Irish whiskeys on the way. Until the next one, make sure you subscribe. Sláinte.